Out of the tree of life, I just picked me
Pick
a
me a
plum.
plum. Yeah.
You came along and everything.
Welcome to another episode of the Underway Podcast. You are listening to your host, Don Anderson, and I am here with my brother and my co-partner, Michael, the Voice Hicks. That's what the V stands for, y'all. The
All
Voice.
right. I'll take it. I'll take it. What's happening, y'all?
Oh, ain't nothing.
It's been a nice little break we had, man. We'll talk a little more about that, but I'm excited to be back. You know what I mean? Absolutely excited, excited.
Absolutely.
Plus, you got to tell the party people, we're doing a new thing as well.
Yo, absolutely. Now, I wore this shirt because we're doing something different today. We are actually filming our episode. So to those of you that can watch via your uh I can't say audible device, what is it, visual device,
Hmm.
you know, you will be able to check us out on Spotify and or YouTube or wherever your podcast can be shown via
It'll still be
video.
under the same title, right? As the Underway Podcast,
It'll
even on
still be,
YouTube, right?
yep, it'll be under either on either or any site, whatever you want to say. But yeah, we're going to have a YouTube channel, Underway YouTube channel. We will make sure we put that in the episode description. I'll put the link in there so you can click it.
Absolutely.
And once you guys get the link, and when you hear this episode, do us a favor, please like it, share it, and
Subscribe.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
We need those
Absolutely.
subscriptions, especially when now that we're going to YouTube. We really need those subscriptions because it makes it easier for you to find the show, and then it makes us more visible. So that's really the whole point of this whole thing, as far as like subscribing and just and sharing. And it only takes you just one move. You don't even
Man.
got to pay for this show. You're not paying for this. You know
Now
that, right? You
click,
just
click, click. It ain't nothing to it. Just a couple of clicks and
yeah,
you're in.
just click on it, man. Just click on it. That's all it
And you are
takes.
you are in the Don and Mike Navy. You have been enlisted. You can join and we can go underway together. You know what I mean?
And let me say this: I ain't trying to talk about nobody, but if you don't subscribe to this, you might be a hater. I'm just saying. I know that our listeners aren't haters, so I'm
I
gonna ask y'all
concur. I concur.
absolutely. So if
Because
you ain't
we
subscribing, bro, then what's the rationale?
right, because we're giving you the real, we're giving you just organic, just love and conversation, man. So
Yeah,
and that's what's missing out here. So let's do it, you know.
100%, man. I got my $1 million gold chain on. Y'all need to respect that, man. Come on.
No question. That's some Run DMC joint right there. That's Slick Rick stuff right there.
Yes,
You know.
sir. Yes, sir. So we got a lot to talk about, Mike. Both of us have just got back from vacation. Both of us had a chance to go across the country. Well, I went halfway across. Mike went all the way across that joint. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We want to talk about some things that have been popping up in the news. I don't know if you guys been paying attention. So just a few newsworthy items that we want to talk about. And then lastly, we want to talk about the King is coming back this weekend, or rather this week. We'll let you know who the King is, but you look at for those again that can see your screen, see my hat, don't you? So, the Kings they're on the way back, and I'm not talking about that particular team, some of that particular sport. They're on their way back this week, so we know that they're about to take it over like they do every year.
The
Mike,
gladiator sport. The gladiator sport, and you
Gladiator.
see mine. We're representing the standing buffalo, not the charging buffalo. I'm an old school cat. So the standing buffalo is the OJ Simpson buffalo. So we rock it like that up here in the low. Buffalo for folks, for the layperson, that's buffalo.
You heard what Mike said. Now you heard who he said he's representing. So
Oh yeah, I'm
don't be
I'm
writing
I'm
me.
riding the riding the dying, y'all. It's all good
Mhm.
because we talked about a possible the way it was going in the midseason. We talked about a possible Buffalo Philly clash
Yep.
in the Super Bowl, and Buffalo did not meet their end of the deal. They laid an egg against Cincinnati, and we're back home. But Philly, went on and they deserved to win. I think it was just a few defensive errors and other because offensively they can hang with anybody. I think, if you remember the Super Bowl, it was strictly defensive mental lapses, period. End of
100%.
story. And they'll be back.
I
I'm
hope
counting
so.
on Philly.
That'd be nice. We also play y'all in the regular season this year, so that'll be fun too.
Oh man, can't wait. Like Bart Scott with his chapped lips after the game. Can't wait.
And to those out there that may not know, Mike Hicks has been known to perhaps just talk a little bit. I mean, just a tad bit of trash talk. He just might be a little bit of a trash talk. I mean, it hasn't been verified yet, but I've heard, and some people have.
Yeah,
Actually, I do know, and actually, I have
they
verified.
co-signed it. Yeah, we were in a fantasy football league together as well, y'all. So, yeah, and I do a humorous and entertaining sports recap every week. Yeah, so I wish that was a way we can get that to the masses because I think that would be huge, man. You know what I mean?
I think we can.
Yeah, I think we can do that. So yeah, some of our sports fantasy football recaps every week where I throw, some compliments and some insults and got some nice music in the background and it's fun. It's fun. I'm looking forward to it. And also I've been assigned new referee duties this
right.
I mean, yeah, man, they right back at it, man. So I am doing a high school game for the first time this year. This year. Yeah, man.
The David Bowie song Pressure.
Well, they say it's just a speed thing.
Mm-hmm.
The game is the game. But they say when you go from, of course, I do little league and then I do middle school and JV and freshman football. It's just the difference in speed. That's it. So you have to be, of course, cognizant of what's going on, just because the players are bigger and faster. But the game is the game. So I'm looking forward to it, and it pays pretty well. So, that's always a motivating factor as well.
That's awesome. So, tell us about your summer, your little trek across country, bro. How did that go?
Oh, it was cool. Oh, before who were we playing in the introduction?
Oh, my bad. Thank you for bringing that into my remembrance.
Yeah.
That was a little tribute to the late great Tony Bennett, who passed away this week. Tony Bennett, one of the great. I heard some. I'm trying to think how somebody described him. I won't call him a jazz singer, but I'm trying to figure out. This one guy had a particular. I think he called him a not a lounge singer, because that was, to me, that wasn't a good description of Tony Bennett. Not a lounge.
No,
I wouldn't call
a lounge singer is more like Robert Goulet.
Yeah,
that's more like a lounge singer. But Tony Bennett was such a diverse singer. So he could sing jazz, he could sing blues, he could sing, pop. Of course, in his later years, he was, collaborating with like Lady Gaga. You know what I mean? So he's just a legendary dude, man. Loved him. He was the anti Frank Sinatra in his days. Because it was a split. Right. You know what I mean? And some of the old guys, I used to work with, particularly who were fans of both. The harsh criticism of Frank Sinatra is that he basically talked through his songs. He really wasn't a singer per se. And Tony Bennett was a cold-blooded singer because, he had done things with, Ella Fitzgerald, the Count Basie Orchestra, Benny Goodman. He was a phenomenal, versatile singer, man. And he will be missed, man. I did like Tony Bennett. And I tell you, when I first really got hip to him, you remember the movie, I want to say Analyze This?
Yeah.
With Billy Crystal and Robert De Niro. Mm-hmm. There you go. At the end, the Robert De Niro's mob character had arranged for Tony Bennett to sing to Billy Crystal and his wife in his yard. He had a full band and everything, and he was doing I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow. Got that string around my finger. So yeah. Yeah, so I love jazz, man. My favorite jazz singer is Joe Williams. Williams was, man. One of his songs was Kidney Stew, and I love that one. He starts that out, crazy about you, baby, but I just can't stand your price. Crazy about you, baby, just can't stand your price. You're a high class woman, so I guess it ain't no dice.
Well, let me throw some trivia at you.
What's up?
Joe Williams played somebody's father on a classic 1980s sitcom.
Okay, let me think. Would that be Claire Huxtable?
Oh, okay. See, that's why Mike is cool, man. That's why I made this guy belong together partnering because I can't name three other people I know that would have known that answer. How he
Man,
know? How did he
automatically.
know? I thought I had him stumped, man. I was so looking forward to just giving it to
No,
him.
man. They
Good
saying we
job, man.
belong. Yeah, they
And who
saying
was his
we belong
wife?
together.
Who
They
was the mother?
belong in that show.
Yeah, wasn't she?
That
I
was
think she.
Claire's mom.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, you got me. Because I was just about to pull the trigger and say Nancy Wilson, but it
that was
wasn't
her.
Nancy
That's
Wilson.
it. You got it. It was.
No,
It was. It was Nancy Wilson, dude. I'm almost positive.
no, it wasn't.
We'll have to Google.
Yeah, because Nancy Wilson was somebody else's mom in another show. But yeah, you know what? You may be right, but we will research that, and the party people will research that if they really want to
Absolutely.
stump us on something. So yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
but yeah,
she was definitely on that show though.
she might have made a cameo, but I don't think. But I think Joe was Claire's dad, and
Mhm.
he's had another actress, as the mom. But Nancy Wilson was, I want to say, Sinbad's mom in some sitcom or something like that, or she was in something, Nancy Wilson. But yeah, we're talking about greats, man, and wow,
Great.
they'll be missed, man, and that's the sad part about this life, man. The people they leave, but their music lives forever. So there is some kind of
Oh,
rejoicing in
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. And I don't know
Hmm.
if you're aware of the real good new jazz singer they got coming up now, Samara Joy. You heard her any? Have you
I've
seen
heard
her
of
work?
Samara. Yeah, I haven't really heard any of her stuff. Um, I have to be dragged
Mhm.
through time, and my wife and my daughter can attest to that. So I'm very biased to the originators and the forefathers and foremothers of any kind of genre. But yeah, I'm definitely game to try some new stuff.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, anyway, Samara Joy is she's fantastic. But
Was she at the festival you were at?
no, she was not out there. She was not out there. I hope that she gets out there one day. I hope she gets here to Philadelphia. I'd love to go see her. She's
Hmm.
fantastic. Young lady that bringing
Hmm.
back Sarah Vaughan, bringing back Ella Fitzgerald, bringing back that
Dinah, yeah,
style of
Dinah
singer.
Washington, yeah, yeah,
Dinah,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
maybe a
Yeah,
little
okay,
Eddie James.
okay,
Eddie James is a little strong, but maybe not quite
yeah,
that. But definitely Sarah, Sarah
okay.
Vaughan for sure.
I,
Sarah
I,
Vaughan
I
has
will I will
voice as
look
well.
out. I'll look out. No
Yeah,
question
check her
about
out,
it.
man. She's good. Check her out.
Okay. So you're asking about the vacation, right?
Yeah. Before you go on, let's end this segment by saying rest in peace. I messed that up. Sound like Elmer Fudd. Rest in peace to the great Tony Bennett.
Without
Again, the
question,
reason we
man.
opened up with that song, "The Best Is Yet to Come," is because this is our first uh, visual episode, and
That's
on
right.
behalf of Mike and I, we want to let you all know that the best is yet to come.
That's right. That'll work, man.
Frank would have
Appreciate it.
said, "The best is yet to come."
Right. He was a talker. He was a talker. You know what I mean? He was great, but he
First
was a
rapper.
talker. Yep. Yeah. Now that would be Louis Jordan. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time.
Okay, see, there you go. You
Yeah, yeah.
flexing now.
Yeah. Well, you know me. But okay.
Go
So the
ahead, bro.
vacations, the vacations. I visited the Phoenix, Arizona area, and I'm sure he won't mind that we'll share another shipmate of ours,
Hmm.
a very close friend of mine, um, is battling the dreaded C word. And he's doing well, actually. So it's very encouraging. When I returned from Phoenix, the Phoenix area, he actually lives in Gilbert, a little outside of Phoenix. So I returned home and I told my wife, who met him and loved him as well because he's my man. Um, I said I feel better about actually laying eyes on him because I've seen the support that he has around him and the love that he has around him. So with me going there, um, it kind of capped everything off, man. So I was just really glad to see him, and he looks well, man. He looks well, and Arizona, uh, the Phoenix area, it is absolutely gorgeous. If you have not been, please do yourself a favor and get out there. It's not what you imagine. I was guilty of that premonition as well. That you know that prejudice that it was just going to be desert and flat and sand and this cactus, but beautiful mountain scenery. And like you had mentioned before, that sunny sky hits different than the East Coast. It's flawless. I'm talking about not a cloud anywhere.
Mhm.
So and people talking about the hundreds. I think they've had like 50 days over 100 degrees.
Mhm.
But you're never really out in it. I mean, when we would tool around town to go to the grocery store, whatever we were doing, we would pass these gorgeous. I mean, I'm somewhat of a golfer, so golf courses pop out to me. And we rode by one that was absolutely gorgeous. It looked like it should have been on TV, but there was no one there. And it's just like, yeah, what are the tee times in Arizona? I mean, what is it, 5 in the morning? I mean, it was like in the middle of the day, no one was on these gorgeous golf courses, man. So of course we know why, it's
I can
unbearably
tell.
hot. But yeah, that was it would be an adjustment,
How was the food?
actually living there. You know what I mean? But I would love uh, for instance, if this takes off and, Barstool gives us a gang of money, I'll buy some property out
Well, there you go.
there.
Let me ask you this: how was the food, though, Mike?
Well, you're talking about
Mexican?
yeah, a majority of it is Mexican food. It was phenomenal. We
Mhm.
did go to one place. Don't convict me. I don't remember, but Mike's girlfriend had taken us to this one place where they had a really nice, variety of food. I had the fish and grits, which was basically almost a Mexican version of fish and grits versus the, traditional Louisiana type or, any soul food eatery that you could get it. So it was good, man. Had different flavor to it. But it was shrimp and grits. You can never go wrong with that. So food was great, man. The Mexican food, of course, was authentic. We did stop there after church. We, went to church on Sunday before I came back home. And the, Mexican food we had for lunch was phenomenal. I had a triple taco plate. So one had pulled pork in it, one had beef in it, one had fish in it, and I want to say I'm saying four of them. So one had chicken in it as well. So it was very good, man, very authentic. And you remember the Mexican food from the time that we served in California, of course.
Oh, absolutely. I used to go to Taco Bell all the time.
That's come on, bro. Come on. That's just
Del
like
Taco.
going,
Shout out to
yeah.
Del Taco.
That's like going to Louisiana and going to Popeyes, man. Stop it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You go get the grimiest stuff. You know what I mean? Especially in California, and especially Tijuana when we would visit Mexico over the weekend. The hand rolled tortillas and yeah, we had the real stuff, man. So it was a pleasure.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. It was good to know that Mike is doing all right out there and got a chance to see that beautiful western Arizona sun. But you was also able to hang out with another one of your shipmates in
Yeah,
Buffalo.
my homeboy, yeah, from a little outside of Buffalo. I always give him stuff for that because he ain't a real Buffalonian. But the outside of Buffalo, Lackawanna, Ron Jaworski, the former Philadelphia Eagles, hometown. There you go. And so homeboy, yeah, he his job transferred him out to another spot in Arizona. What was the name of it again? Something Grande. I can't
Hmm.
remember. A little city, maybe about 40 minutes from Gilbert. So yeah, so it was good seeing him. I just seen him here in Buffalo. Unfortunately, he had a loss in his family, so I was able to see him then, and then his brothers and things like that. So yeah, so it was good. Always good running into our former shipmates and people that we really care about. Now, tell us about your vacation, please.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Well, Mike was out there in Arizona. I don't know what do they call that state? This the desert state. One of you, what is it? You see the license plate? What do they call
They call it the last to
it?
have MLK holiday state.
Oh, as Martin would say, damn.
I don't
Well,
know
that
what Arizona is.
sucks.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have to look that up next show.
I was in the Centennial State, The Centennial State is the state of Colorado. And the reason that it is the Centennial State is that it was ratified as a state 100 years after the Constitution or was ratified. So it became the state of Colorado. So I went out there to visit my uncle. Shout out to Uncle Herb if you listen. But went out there, hang out with him and his son Trey. We had a good time, man. Actually, we actually spent like 2 days in the city of Denver, and then we spent the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, out in Winter Park, Colorado. Winter Park,
How was that?
Colorado.
How was that?
It was awesome. Winter Park, Colorado is the home of the Winter Park Jazz Festival, and this year they celebrated their 40th anniversary. So that was a good time, man. Some of the headliners were Maxwell, Leela James, Damian Escobar. He is I guess that's the violin. I know that there's differences because I know your daughter, for instance, I don't think she plays the violin. What she play?
The viola.
Viola. But I think Damian plays the violin, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But if you haven't heard of him, particularly you or your daughter, make sure she checks him out. The man's a beast. Had that crowd going. I would say he was my favorite performer of the weekend too. Dave Koz finished it out. He was good. He had a couple other saxophonists with him.
I've seen him a few times. I like Dave Koz, man. He
Yeah,
always
nice.
has a nice backing band. I've always liked that about him.
He's good. And prior to this trip, I knew Dave Koz because he was always on the Arsenio Hall show. He was always sitting in with the band.
That's right.
So that's where I know Dave Koz from. But it freaked me out when I seen him. I said, man, this guy's hair looks like white as Santa Claus. So it's been a while since the 90s.
Well, he's keeping it a buck though. You got to respect that. I mean,
oh, yeah.
look at the snow in my basement. I mean, you got to respect people that, embrace you got some great corners. Yeah, you got a little acreage.
Trim down a little bit, man.
Yeah.
I don't need all that.
Yeah.
Showing. But yeah, so he was
it.
there. I think who else was there? Man, I don't want to call their names out wrong. I want to say, in my mind, I'm saying Paul Brown, but that's like an old football player, owner or something.
Owner of Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. But those are the main headliners though, and they were all very, very good. So we had a good time. One thing I want to let you know is if you've never been out to Denver, Colorado, or if you ever go out to Winter Park, Colorado, I want to let you know that altitude sickness is real. Okay, you are going to feel a little different.
Oh yeah.
Headache was creeping up on the brother. Like, man, why does my head hurt? Well, that's because you're like 12,000 feet above sea level. So that's definitely a thing, and it does affect some of the artists as well. In fact, what's his face? Maxwell was saying how he had a headache and all these other different ailments he said he was going through. So. I will say
excuses.
You off a little too many excuses. Come on, bro. Nobody else was up there offering that excuses. Leela James did just fine. So, but yeah, if I felt it, I'm sure he did. But I do know that before they went out on stage, that they prepped them before they went out because the one guy I was telling you all about, Damian Escobar, I guess the prep room was downstairs underneath the stage, and I seen them like giving oxygen, stretching these guys out, doing different things, I guess, to get them prepared for their performance. So I don't know, what happened with Maxwell, but I'm not gonna lie. Fortunately, I was a little disappointed with his performance. I thought that I don't know, just didn't bring the energy like I would have thought that he would have.
Yeah. And then we visited Colorado Springs years ago. Cool. Because our niece graduated from the Air Force Academy, and their football stadium is where they had Air Force Academy is where they had the graduation. So you had to walk up basically the hill, and the stadium was carved out of some high elevation like rock formation. So of course it was down very, very low. So yeah, man, climbing up to just get into the entrance gates where it was something, man. So yeah, it is real. Being that high above sea level. And yeah, it's real stuff. So yeah, if you're not in any type of significant shape and you visit Colorado, please be careful.
Yeah,
Please
take
be
your
careful.
time out there. Take your time
Yeah,
as
take your
you're
time.
as you're you're climbing the steps. When we got back in town, we also were able to go visit the Black American West Museum, and that's basically a museum that's in the Five Point section of Denver, Five Point section of Denver in the town. And what the Five Point section of Denver is basically a section where you have these five streets and they all come together and meet and at the point, all five of them. At one time, this area was called the Harlem of the West. And the reason it was called the Harlem of the West is because there were so many high profile black entertainers out there. And so the way somebody explained to me, with all the clubs that they had out there and all these jazz cafes they had there, you might have, let's say you might have Dizzy Gillespie playing on this side of the street, and across you might have had Coltrane. So you could just
Wow.
imagine that type of like high impact or high level jazz musicians being in the same place at the same time. And also the black musicians, when they would go out there and perform at the Five Points, weren't allowed to stay in the regular hotels because, of course, segregation. Even out there in Denver, Colorado, uh,
Hmm.
they had separate hotels for black and white people, and even the musical acts were under that. They were under that as well, so they had to stay down there in Denver. So at one point, or excuse me, the Five Points neighborhood. At one point, the Five Points was booming. Now it's basically a shell of itself. A lot of the places are closed. A lot of the places are vacant or run down. It just doesn't look like it used to. And a lot of that is because, from talking to one of the historians out there, he said that that's because people never really owned that stuff. They didn't own these clubs. They didn't own the hair salons, the barber shops, the restaurants. They were renting them at the whole time. And
Hmm.
so when the person that owned the actual restaurant, owned the actual barber shops, um, and the businesses went under. So that's kind of what happened. So it's kind of, it's cool to see the history. If you're familiar with the movie The Harder They Fall with Idris Elba and Jonathan Majors, Regina King, some of the characters that they played were in the museum. Like for one, Stagecoach Mary and Nat Love. So those are just two of the characters, and also the cowboy Bill Pickett. He was in there too. The actual
Okay.
guy. So
Good
just as an
stuff,
FYI,
man.
yeah, as an FYI, that movie wasn't biographical. Just used their names.
Okay.
Stuff that they showed in that movie. If y'all anybody out there actually watched it, didn't actually happen. They just used the character names. So, but yeah,
Okay.
overall, it was a great trip. It was good to see family out there, and as Mike said, the sun out there is real. It's beautiful out there. A beautiful, beautiful area for sure. Actually, that's beautiful out there. Um, and hey, I hopefully will one day get to go there again. But now I am back
Awesome.
in southeastern Pennsylvania, and we are back at it. So
That's
that's
right. I was excited, man, when you came back, man, get back at this, but we're only human. So we definitely need breaks, man. And, now we're ready to rock and roll. No question about it.
100%. So there's been a lot of stuff that's been going on in the news. So I'm gonna throw this at you, Mike. So because I don't know what you've heard and what you haven't heard, but we have the Carly Russell saga.
Right.
We have Florida being Florida,
Hmm.
and we have the try that in a small town controversy. So, do any of those interest you as something you'd like to talk about?
Well, well, it's crazy. You mentioned the Carly Russell thing. Uh, the quote abduction, unquote. Um, yeah, when I read the story initially, I called our daughter downstairs. She was upstairs in her room chilling,
Mhm.
and I called her downstairs and I had a talk with her about how wicked this world is as far as women being snatched up, women being
Mhm.
assaulted, being abducted, what have you. And although we eventually found out that the abduction wasn't what it was still necessary, for people to definitely let their daughters know That is serious out here. You got a lot of sick people out here, and that whole scenario did set up or sound like the typical, bait and switch or bait and kidnap kind of thing. Child on the side of the road of a highway or interstate or what have you. This woman stops to help, and she gets abducted, and this, and that. But unfortunately, as we've heard, it was all made up, and she was going to see some ex-boyfriend or something like that, and she had already left a computer trail of how to rip off a business and get out of town without being detected, and just foolishness. We live in a time where, like you and I right now,
Mhm.
we're on the internet, so we're locatable. People know where we are. They know what we do. Know what we talk about at any time. So at what point did you think you were going to be able to possibly get away with that? It's embarrassing, and it's shameful, and it's disgraceful, man. That's my take on it. Even though, like I said, the talk that I had with Princess about she's about to go to college,
Mhm.
away from home, and we told her to you become a wolf, become a wolf. You guys travel in packs, 4 or 5 deep. If you got to go to the grocery store or Walmart or what have you off campus, 4 or 5 deep in the car, whatever it is. It's safety in numbers. And although this is a slap in the face to people who have really been abducted,
Mhm.
people who have been really held for ransom, and unfortunately sometimes murdered behind this stuff. It's nothing to play with. So whatever heat that Carly or whatever her name is getting on the internet, it's well deserved. She earned it.
Yeah, she absolutely did. And the whole thing is the funny thing about it is I'll be honest, the only part of it that I found interesting, I guess, was the what you were saying about this both of us having college age daughters and just having that concern for them as they're out there by themselves, for the first time. So it's always this thing where it's like, man, you hear stories like that and it's like, wow.
It
And
hits home, man.
yeah, it's home, man. So, to find out that it's possibly, I guess I'm assuming that we know that did she admit that it was fake or
Well, I think the evidence is overwhelming. I don't know
okay.
if she actually, gave an admission or what have you, but I think the evidence is overwhelming. She played herself, man. She
Mm,
absolutely played herself, and she played a nation, and in particular, she played Black people. You know what I mean? Because we immediately, sent out our prayers and our well wishes and this and that, and for it to come back void was very disappointing and very embarrassing, and things like that.
yeah, it's a shame. And also it's like this is like the second time within what the last 3 years. I mean, the first time it was Juicy Smollett that did his uh
Dude,
did his
dude,
ridiculousness, and now he
yeah,
done inspired this woman to do the same thing, and I because the
yeah,
Juicy Smollett, this young lady, I guess she thought she could do the job better. I mean, it's just crazy to me. What was
yeah.
it done about it?
Why would you pursue that? Why
Yeah.
would you pursue that? So it's sad,
Attention,
man,
man.
and
People need attention. It's ridiculous.
that's true. I agree. It's
What people
sad.
will do for attention and how they will try to get it is just it's really sad, and also it's crazy when you think about what people will do to get some attention. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So she'll have to deal with the consequences of that, and
Absolutely.
I'm pretty
Uh,
much
uh,
done with that. I'm done with that. What about you?
yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay.
Because this is our newsworthy segment. I thought we would just cover that. And another segment that, or another controversy, quote unquote, that has been that's going around now is to try that in a small town. Like I don't know if you're familiar with country music, but there is a gentleman by the name of Jason Aldean, country star, who has a song called "Try That in a Small Town," and it's being pulled off of CMT, and they're describing it as uh, being racist. Um,
I'm not
basically,
familiar. I'm not familiar. Please tune me in. What's happening?
Yeah, I'm gonna do more than that. I'm gonna try to find the man's lyric while we're just sitting here. Let me see if I can find it. Because I listened to the song.
Hmm.
Let me find it right here. It might have took it off iTunes. Let me see, or Apple Music. Let me see that it comes up. Oh, here we go. See, just I don't know if you can hear that. All that. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop it right there. And they got the
Okay.
lyrics up. This is
Okay.
what
Yeah.
the
Just
lyrics
yeah.
say.
Let's recite the lyrics and
Yeah,
analyze that.
it says sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner. Excuse me, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool? Well, act like a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on his flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough? Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Let me say it like he probably said, around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're going to round up. Well, that shit might not fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town. So that's basically it. And the refrain is try that in a small town. Now, I don't understand how they have decided to ban this from these stations. And I don't know who said the song was racist. I don't hear anything about black people in the song. I don't hear anything about Spanish people or any other race. Listen, I'm all about if there's something, derogatory towards black people or any other race, yeah, we're gonna speak up and say something. But what this tells me is when I read those lyrics, that it isn't Jason Aldean. I don't know if he is or if he does or if he doesn't. But when you talk about carjacking, when you talk about robbing liquor stores, talk about thinking it's
Right. It's
well,
dog whistle. It's dog whistle stuff.
it's dog
It's
stuff,
dog.
but it's
It's
not
dog whistle
specific.
stuff. It's not Pacific, but I mean it's Pacific. I went ghetto. I said Pacific, like the ocean. It's not specific, yes, but there are. I mean, there are things that do happen in white communities that, of course, we're not privy to, because, of course, it's not publicized and broadcasted on the 6 o'clock news or anything like that. But I think we've gone so soft in this society
Hmm.
that anything people deem as buzzwords, it's racism, it's this and that. I got news for you, party people out there. Uh, I myself and Don and hardworking black folks, and we don't like those people either.
Amen.
Okay, so let's understand that.
Say it again, brother.
That's one thing that hardworking, tax-paying, country love veterans, okay, we don't care for those people as well. So I don't trip on anything like that. But of course, the 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 big picture is to keep distraction amongst the races. Okay.
Hmm.
In 1973, this song wouldn't have got off the country charts. Nobody would have even paid any attention to
Hmm.
it. You understand what I'm saying? But we're living in this vast information age, over information age, where people take everything someone says or sings or writes or quotes, and we instantly throw the racism dynamic into it.
Hmm.
Um, it's kept up to keep us distracted. Okay, people don't understand that if you are a working class citizen, you are the slave. You are the person or the vehicle that keeps this country going. They live off of our tax revenue, things of that nature. So if you can keep the races divided and keep them, you know,
Divided.
5% nation, quote, keep them blind, deaf, and dumb, you understand? They'll eat each other. I mean, if you put a bunch of rats in a pen with a food source and that food source runs out, who are the rats eating after that?
Right.
They
It's
eating each
eating each
other,
other.
right?
That's
There
right.
you go. So this is what it is, man. And what I've always said, I've equated our society or our societal situation to Black Friday at Walmart.
Mhm.
Okay, where people fight over things
Some
that
stuff.
basically trinkets. You understand? And the people in the ivory towers, rows of eyes disguised as windows, looking down on the poor and the needy. That's a Grandmaster Flash. That's Melly Mel, man. He said that in Too Much, Too Many People. New York, New York. Rows of eyes disguised as windows looking down on the poor and the needy. And that's what that is. So the people who are in power, the 1% or whatever mythical percentage group that is, are the ones that look down on us and say, look at these idiots fighting over trinkets. Let's keep them divided, because if they ever found out what's really going on, they got the numbers and we'd
Of
be in
course.
trouble.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, bro. So yeah, I haven't really heard the song. I don't
It's not,
care.
for one,
Yeah,
it's not even marketed towards us. So that's the first thing. So we're not going to hear it.
we wouldn't know that. But of
Yeah.
course, like you said, whoever it is marketed to, the people who love Merca, might have twisted that and said this is
Mhm.
about them folks over there, and the inner
Mhm.
city folks. And so yeah, man, I really don't have the energy nor the time nor the interest to really dig into those type of wormholes, man. So yeah, you mentioned it to me is the first time I really heard about it.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like you do. I just think it's just like something that's totally, first and foremost, let me just say this. And Mike said it eloquently earlier, but and I will co-sign what he's saying. I don't identify with a carjacker. I don't, you know,
No, I don't know them.
I don't co-sign with liquor store robbers. So if you want me as a black person to be mad that this man is saying that, hey, try that in a small town liquor store robber, try that in a small town carjacker. What are you trying to say? Why should black people be mad at that? And why in the world are you banning that from a country station? Because to
Right.
me, the reality of when I hear you say that, I'm thinking, well, now who's the real racist here? Is the
That's right.
racist the guy who sang the song, or is the racist the one that trying to tell me that I'm a carjacker or a liquor store robber? So we got to watch about how and who is giving these messages. It's all subliminal, man. It's like they want us to think that about ourselves to a degree. Because my son ain't no liquor store robber. I don't even know no liquor store robber. Clear point blank. I don't know no carjackers. Let me tell you that. I'm sure there's just as many white carjackers and liquor store robbers as there are black ones. So we got to stop with this fantasy and stop, like Mike said, this false outrage. It's just ridiculous, It's
Yeah.
nonsensical, and let's focus
Yeah.
on real issues in this country. But like Mike said, if we focus on this little picayune stuff, then we won't think about the major issues that we should be focusing on, like the economy and who's got money and who don't, and why they don't have money, and those type of things like that. See,
No question.
that's the
No
real stuff that's going
question.
on out here in
No
the world.
question, dude.
We out here
And like I
fighting and
said,
arguing over a stupid country song.
yeah. And
Not
and,
me.
and they throw people at us like Cardi B and
Mm-hmm.
whoever else. Yeah, it's just all distractions, man.
Yep.
And it's like, yo, if the third eye that people always speak of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the third eye, man, the two that you have are gonna be bamboozled. So yeah, I mean, I don't care anything about that, man. And
Me
and, and
neither.
again, to reiterate what you said, listen, man, once upon a time in the black community, man, we shunned those type of people. We got
Mhm.
rid of those type of people
Right.
back when men were in the home and men grouped up and got the drug dealer out and got the pimp out and got the unsavory character out of our community. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, listen, man, I'm one of them dudes. I don't care nothing about those type of people, man. Let the
Fact
law
of the
do what
matter
it
is,
does and get rid of them.
and the fact of the matter is, we agree. You know what
No
we say?
question.
Mike Hicks says, and I say, both gun owners, try that in a small town. Try that around my
No
house.
question. There
You try
you
to
go.
carjack mine. If you trying to carjack my car, you think I'm gonna sit there and say hello? I mean,
Now,
what kind of? I don't care who you are. I mean, of
it's
course you're gonna
going
come out
down.
there and try to stop me
It's
from
going
doing it.
down. It's
Yeah.
going down.
So what are you talking about
Yeah,
here?
because I worked for this and I
Exactly.
refuse to let you or even the government take what's mine. I
Yeah.
work for it. You understand? So
That's
yeah,
foolishness.
that's yeah,
It's got nothing to do
I
with
don't
black
care
and
nothing
white.
about that. Yeah, I don't care
Ridiculous.
nothing about that. But
I don't.
that's how they're painted, and the suckers will go for it, man. So let's understand that. You know what I mean?
100%, 100%. And so there, this is our third controversy. I call this one Florida being Florida. Says
Hmm.
Florida, this is courtesy of the Washington Post. Florida has done it again. The state's Board of Education has unveiled its newest standard for the instruction of African American history in public schools, and they include some horrendous elements. Florida public schools will now teach students that the once constitutionally protected system under which enslavers bought and sold human beings had an apparent upside. In addition to being subjected to maiming, beatings, rape, and murder, enslaved Black people developed skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. So now the Florida schools are saying that they want that to be taught. And this was a curriculum that was developed by the administration of Republican Ron DeSantis, who is apparently trying to, uh, I guess, out Trump, a 2024 presidential candidate. And will also teach that the race massacres of the 19th and 20th centuries were perpetuated by both Black and white Americans. Now, Mike, for you that don't know, Mike Hicks is an educator. He teaches in the Buffalo school system. So I wanted Mike to hear that and get his thoughts. I don't know if it's the first time you ever heard it. What do you think about it?
No, I've heard, I've heard it, and me being a how can I say it, a fundamentalist when it comes to education. Um, Unlike myself, unlike you, we did not have the technology to learn the things that we learn today.
Mm-hmm.
Correct or not? You agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you and I had to go to either the school library, public library, look up bibliographies, pull that long drawer of reference cards out to find a book. We had to do work. This generation, and the generation prior to, has the ability through the internet, the thing that we're on right now, they have the ability to learn whatever they want to learn. You understand? So of course that coincides with your upbringing. Okay. So I don't care what a school system is doing. I mean, we did that with our daughter. We told her to be an independent researcher of the things that you've heard in school, the things that were taught in school. Dad, they said A, B, and C. Okay, let's sit down and look it up on the internet and let's dive down this wormhole and find the truth. And then I want, when you find the truth, to go back to school the next day and challenge that teacher. You understand what I'm saying? But since we have allowed the technology that we use every day to become babysitters and caretakers and things like that for our children, the people who have the fundamental, and Ron DeSantis is a Navy guy. You know that, right?
Disgraceful. I wish you wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, he's a
I
Navy
knew
guy.
that, but I didn't want the people to
Yeah,
know that. But
a former Navy
fortunately, he is
officer.
Navy officer. He
Yeah,
wasn't one of us. He wasn't an
no,
enlisted brother
he
like
wasn't
us.
a working man. He was
No,
a POS officer. But and of course, I'm not saying all officers are POSs. I
no.
had a
You're
lot of
not
great
saying all of
officers
them.
that I met. No,
Just a
but
good amount.
yes, a good amount. But nonetheless, we live in an information age, so there shouldn't be anything that someone should tell you. And I emphasize this to young people, be it in middle school, because grammar school, you really, you just eat what you're fed. But
Mhm.
we're talking about middle school, junior high school, what have you. Take the time to challenge whatever your teacher teaches you. Now, if that teacher comes back right with the information, cool, you're on that. But always challenge your teachers. And we live in a time in which we can listen. You told me George Washington Carver used to play basketball. Okay. Whatever you told me in class, I have the ability and the information and the access to go research that and go, he never picked up a ball in his life. I
Mhm.
challenge you, teacher. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So this is what we're missing. And this everything like we talked before, Don, it starts in the home.
Mhm.
Okay. So regardless of who Ron DeSantis is trying to bamboozle, who President Trump, President Biden, he ain't off the hook either. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever sitting president is in a position to tell you, you know, what's what. Now challenge it. Challenge it. That's how you keep the mind sharp, man. That's how you keep the mind sharp. Now, and we'll kind of deflect to like when we all first met, because like I said, Don and I saved, we served on the same ship in the Navy, but we weren't there at the same time.
Mhm.
So a lot of us met through this app called Marco Polo on our phone, where you leave video messages and you kind of communicate that way. I was never a person to step down or step away from a challenge, you know, and when people are not used to that, you can kind of alienate yourself or even, you know, kind of make yourself non-likable or whatever, unsavory, whatever you want to put it. But the fact is, at the end of the day, every brother to a man on that site respected me because I would question or challenge. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what's missing in society as a whole. We just eat what they serve us. We have to start challenging things. Don, what do you think about that?
Well, you know, I like what you said there. You know, as far as challenging, the information that's being taught to us in school. It's funny because I actually seen a video not long ago where a student was getting removed from a class, and the student was actually admonishing the teacher. And one of the things I remember him saying to the teacher is like, if you taught this class better, your class would probably act better. In
Mm,
terms of like behavior wise, it was a white kid too.
from the mouth of
Yeah,
babes.
white kid talking to a white teacher. So that was one of the things he said. First sign of any frustration, you just kick kids out of class. And hey, I felt that because I know what that was like. I was one of them kids who used to get kicked out of class. I probably had ADD at the time and probably couldn't sit still and that type of thing. But that's what they always that's what they did back in those days. They didn't diagnose kids correctly, and they just called you hyperactive. I remember that. I remember that them telling my parents that I was hyperactive. So that's what they do. Now, as it relates to this Florida thing, I
Mhm.
just think that to me this is about. It's not about Florida trying to teach accurate history. That's not what it's about. Florida is not trying to teach accurate history. What Florida is doing, what DeSantis is doing, what those people in charge are doing, they're trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator down there in Florida. Florida is seems to be a state, while it has a lot of natural beauty in terms of oceans and its beaches and other areas of the city like Miami, South Beach and all that.
Mhm.
There's an element down there that really is out of touch. I think you want to call it racism, you want to call it.
Well, how would you
Um,
classify that demographic? How would you personally classify them?
I call them just backwards. I think their thinking is backwards. Uh, Unfortunately, I think that DeSantis. I think a lot of his ideas are backwards. I mean, this is just ridiculous. We know that, and I think anybody with common sense knows that. Now, the sad part is that a lot of colleges have come out and already said that they won't even accept and this is being taught in African American. That's another thing I forgot to add to the story. It's an AP course in African American history. So they're saying they won't even accept that as a credit. So outside of Florida, so maybe I'm sure maybe a university like Liberty University would accept it. Jerry Falwell School. I'm sure they probably would. They would probably accept it, and probably some other colleges and other states. But like I said, I think one thing that these these stories all have in common is about attention. Carly Russell thing is about attention. Try that in a small town. Some singer decides he wants to get some attention, and Florida being Florida, as they always are. It's all about attention and doing whatever they can and trying to appeal to the worst in society to get the attention. And as we've said earlier, people are going to uh, feed into it. I do think it.
Low hanging fruit. You know,
Yeah,
that
it's low
you
hanging fruit.
basically talking about low
Definitely low
hanging
hanging
fruit.
fruit.
Yeah, I mean, and there's never been a time in our country, especially like now, where candidates, whatever office they're running for, don't aim at that type of uneducated, uninformed uh, demographic. So yeah, it's an old game. And again, it's very sad because we live in a time of extensive information. Um, but since people are lazy and gullible, they just go for whatever talking head, whatever on TV is being said, they go for it, without research because it's just a laziness thing, man. So even with them not accepting certain African American courses, as a certain credit or what have you. Listen, man, I saw a post once that I think it was like last week. They told it was a picture of the state of Florida, right?
Hmm.
So they told every black player to leave any university playing any sport and watch how quick the public would turn on Ron DeSantis. So leave the University of Miami, leave Florida State, University of Florida. All them brothers leave up out of that joint. They ain't winning no more football games in the SEC. See how much. But even with that, as I laugh at it, we're talking about black bodies being taken advantage of, correct?
Absolutely.
There you go. So I mean it's a cold game, as my man Lamar Holt, longtime friend of mine, lives in Houston, Texas, from Buffalo, New York. Yeah, that's what he says, man. Every time we talk, man, something comes up, he say, yeah, it's a cold game. So I agree with that. It's a cold game. It's a
It
cold
is a
game,
cold
man.
game. It's just another way that they are trying to divide people, because that is
No question.
that's the
No
recipe of the
question.
day, and this lately, and it's
What have
all
you
it's
not
about,
seen,
man.
Don? What have you not seen in the news based on a societal situation that was not based upon division?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
What it's
It's
about.
straight divide. It's in your face divide and conquer now.
That's what it's about. That's
So yeah,
110% about it.
the enlightened have to really, really stick together.
And
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 we have
and,
to
and
spread the word.
and even as we say that, let me just say, you know,
Hmm.
if I didn't come out and say the words, I mean, I know that it's BS. I know that the rule and the law and all that. I know it's nonsense. But what I'm saying, I think what Mike is saying is that it's just something that they're using to divide people. Once again, to
Absolutely.
get your eye off of what's really important. That's what we need to
Absolutely.
understand. We got to be smart enough to stay focused, especially in 2023. We got to be focused on what's really
The
important.
election is next year, right?
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying education isn't important. I'm not saying that. But what I am
But
saying
I'm
is
just saying
that
is the election is next year, right?
2024,
See what I'm
2024 is going to be a
saying?
mess, man.
It's going to be an absolute shit show.
Yeah, it really. It's like, I'm a mailman, for those that don't know. So I've already said to myself, dude, when it gets to be like in the fall, I think I'm gonna try to take 2 months off. I don't want to be at work. I don't want to see no political mail. I don't want to deliver nothing. I don't want to hear people's stupid opinions. I
Right.
just don't care. This is the thing about
Right.
me. I really don't care who you vote for. I
I don't
really
give a
don't, man.
damn.
Just give people information and let them vote. I think what's wrong right now, one of the things that divides everybody, like, think we need. Who cares, man? Vote for who you vote for. Get your information and leave me the hell alone. I don't care who you vote for. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're Democrat or you're Republican, whatever the case may be, present your case as a politician, a candidate, and then that's it. I don't need to see, the other crap, man. It's annoying to me as a voter. That's one thing I don't need. You know what I mean? And the last election was so ridiculous. Um, it was so ridiculous, and I let myself get sucked into it,
We all got
into the
played,
divisiveness.
man. We all
Because
got
yo,
played,
listen,
dude.
listen, I must have lost half my Facebook friends. Not that that matters. It's silly. I'm sitting there thinking, like, this is so dumb. Let me give you this is an example. This is a true story.
Go ahead.
This is a cat that I went to school with. I
Hmm.
happened to see him at the park a couple weeks ago. Staunch Republican dude. But we always got along. We graduated together. Pretty much came up to middle school together. White dude. And we always cool. So I see the dude, and I was talking to him, and he let me know that his son had lymphoma, and had the
Hmm.
worst stage of it, almost
Mm.
died. And I didn't even know that this brother son had cancer. And I said to myself, man, the reason I didn't know is because I blocked him. I got, unfriend him, all that stupid stuff we do. And over somebody I don't even know, over stupidity,
Hmm.
whatever the case may be. And that's what we do, man. And so when something like that happens, now somebody that really does need you, somebody that could use you as a friend or somebody to talk to, you done blocked them because you let some idiots candidate that don't
But
give
what did
none
we
of us,
talk about, Don? We talked
huh?
about the distraction,
That's
dude.
what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that's what happens, man. See, we're talking abstract. I'm talking like something specifically that happens. This
Hmm.
specifically happened. Somebody that I specifically knew,
Right.
and I lose contact over somebody I don't know and I'm never going to know. We got to stop doing that, y'all. Got to stop falling prey to this stupid divisiveness.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the okie doke, man. And
Yeah.
but like I said, there's so many things playing into it. I mean, things are being the cost of living is going up, our
Yeah.
wages aren't, so our taxes are going up, our wages aren't. So I mean, there are so many microcosm distractions, you know what I mean, that
Hmm.
they just keep piling and piling and piling, and no one really wakes up to what's really going on. And yeah, so you blame the immigrant, you blame the white man, you
Yep.
blame the black man, you blame the LBGTQ, you see what I'm saying? So it's a very, very sick free-for-all of blame that we're performing in the society, man. And the bottom line is, it's all of us. It's all of us.
Hmm.
With all of us tax-paying suckers that let these talking heads and these politicians continue to do what they do to us, man. So it's on us, man. I don't I don't cry about people having power over me unless you allow them to have power over me or
True.
power over you. Yeah, so there's no need to cry over that, man. It's on you. You're the sucker. You're the sucker. You know what I mean? But Mark Twain once said, if voting was really important, they wouldn't let any of us do it.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, 100%. That makes a
You
lot of
know,
sense.
it does make a lot of sense, man. So
Hmm.
it's a cold game. Again, it's a cold game, brother. So yeah.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
was watching Malcolm X the other day, and in response to the when Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Equal Rights Bill, I think it was 1964, 65, something like that.
64, yeah.
And he said, just like a piece of paper to say that black people can pee in the same restroom as white people. I mean,
Right.
it's
Where's
like
the
this
progress?
minuscule thing. Where's the progress in that? He
Where's
asked
the
him,
progress?
what do you think, Mr. X? Are you excited about it? That was his response. You see why they killed Malcolm X. Malcolm X was on point, man. That was a brother that was he was good, man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well, truth tellers get eliminated, brother.
Yeah, they
Truth
do.
teller, again, why is Al Sharpton still here? Not to wish
Oh
anything on
man.
Reverend Al. Hey,
We're
you
running out
know,
of time, but we do gotta we're gonna cover that on our next show because I did finally watch that show you were talking about. I don't know if you ever saw it. You
loudmouth
saw
on
it?
Showtime.
Yeah, it was interesting. So we got to
Okay,
check that out though. We're gonna talk about that
okay,
in one of these upcoming shows because it was interesting. I looked at it. It was definitely
okay,
interesting.
okay.
But Mike, before we leave here, we talked about the Kings coming back, the gladiator sport, America's game, the game of
Hmm.
football, American football,
Hmm.
not soccer. The National Football League is on its way back this week. Teams are already reporting back to training camp, and players are already getting back and getting ready to start this thing off again. Mike, tell me about your Buffalo Bills. What are your expectations?
I honestly can't tell you, Don. I was very disappointed. And let me be clear. I've been disappointed in the game planning of the Buffalo Bills over the last 3 or 4 years. As you know, in fantasy, I always grab Josh Allen only because I know they're going to let him throw it all over the yard. And in fantasy football, of course, more yards, more completions, more touchdowns, more points. But as far as the actual infrastructure of the offense of the Buffalo Bills, I've been disappointed in it ever since Josh Allen really found his sea legs, per se.
Mm.
They abandoned the run. I really thought Devin Singletary was a good back that they did not utilize. Then they bring in James Cook, Dalvin Cook's little brother, he seems talented. He does some things that are very appealing. But when you're talking about a foul weather city like Buffalo, okay, come December, November, Listen, late November, early December, January, and if you're that fortunate to go into the playoffs, man, you can't be throwing it all over the place. Run blocking is the most simple form of blocking in football. It's not
Mhm.
complicated. You put your hand in the dirt and you smash the person in front of you. Now, the fact that they didn't really utilize the running game, it really, really hurt us, man. In every postseason appearance that we made since the Josh Allen era. And I love Josh. Everybody knows that. Even Josh knows that. But the bottom line is,
Mm.
um, man cannot live by bread alone. So in football, man, if you don't think you have to run that ball if you're a passing team, you're sadly mistaken. Even Kansas City, runs the ball, be it
Mhm.
jet sweeps, be it receiver reverses, whatever running back committee that they have, they've been successful because there's always a mix. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
Let's understand that. But there's a mix. So I'm I'm pessimistic, man. I got to tell you, I'm pessimistic because the year before last, when the Bills lost to Kansas City in the last 13 seconds of the game,
Mhm.
that was by far the best team we had since the 90s Super Bowl Bills. And I think that was our greatest opportunity and we blew it. So you heard it here first, man. I don't know what they can do. And then you got the Diggs drama. He's starting to, diva up, something he really didn't, fall into when he got here. We heard about it in Minnesota. He's a diva. Don't grab him, don't grab him. We got him. He's been nothing but great. You know that. But it's the cracks are starting to show. So I'm a bit concerned, man. I got to be honest with you. And the defense don't even start me on that. Leslie Frazier stepped down. I don't know who this new dude is. I'm concerned.
Well,
I'm
Sean
concerned.
McDermott is a he's a defensive mind anyway, so it's probably his system that they're running, right?
I would imagine, but Leslie Frazier, who is, a longtime defensive strategist in this league, former starter on the, 1985 Chicago Bears Super Bowl team, the 46 defense, by
Mhm.
Buddy Ryan. Um, so the man does know defense, but um, yeah, I'm concerned, man. I really am concerned. And Sean McDermott is a younger, more well-built Marv Levy at this point. He can only get you so far, and he doesn't have the extra kick, in my opinion. But anyway, on to your Philadelphia Eagles, man. What are you seeing?
Oh yeah, before we move on to the Eagles, if I was just speaking on Dallas, the Bills. I said Dallas. You believe I said that? I hate Dallas. Why would I say that? I don't
That's
know
an
where that
insult,
came from.
man.
Some people might
Absolute
say that
insult.
was a Freudian slip. I don't think it was. I don't believe that.
You might be
Somebody
a
just thought,
Cowboys fan on the low.
yeah, right. What is that about? Give me a break, dude. I don't think so.
Go- Yeah,
But before
anyway,
this, I wanted to say this about Buffalo, and
mhm.
I always say to Mike and I say to our other friend Craig, two Buffalo fans, I said, listen, I've been saying for the last 3 years, why don't y'all get a damn running back, man? It's ridiculous. But in particular, now you got my man Cook's brother out here. You got Dalvin Cook out here. If I'm Buffalo, I'm jumping all over that dude. Kareem Hunt, I think, was out. I think he still might be on. I don't know if he's. I gotta look on
Yeah,
Google.
running backs are starving this year, bro.
Yeah, and that's a new thing. That's another thing. They have devalued the running back. It's like, what is this about, man? It's absurd. These guys
And
come in the league, they tear it up for 2 or 3
automatically,
years,
automatically, dude.
and
It's
then they don't want to pay them.
do you see the power of that league, man? You see the power of that league to absolutely just devalue a position
Yeah,
and
so
its
you're no longer
word is
valuable.
bond. That's right. And be done with it. And everybody got
That's
to roll with
ridiculous.
it.
It's crazy though. But I think a lot of that is just like it's just this copycat league because now everybody wants to spread you out and you know, back in
Yep.
the day, we used to think that the Oilers were the anomaly. We used to think that the Houston Oilers back in the day when they ran that run and shoot stuff, we were like, oh man, that's gonna go away. Pretty much every team does that. They might not go five wide, but pretty much every team spreads you out, get you out on them edges, and they barely run the ball. Because if you think about the Oilers from back in the day, you can't even remember who ran the ball behind Warren Moon. I don't remember. Was anybody good?
Lorenzo White.
Okay, but was he all that though?
He was solid. He was
He was all right.
adequate for
He was
what
all
they
right.
were doing. No, he was adequate for what they were
Yeah,
doing. You
he
dig
was
what I'm
Devin
saying? So
Singletary.
yeah, the passing game opened the running game for the Oilers back then,
Yeah,
versus vice versa. You know, the running game usually opens up the pass. So yeah, they had Lorenzo White and another Alan Pinkett, maybe Alan Pinkett
I
or
don't
something
know.
like that. But that's what I'm. Well, there you go. That's how irrelevant the running backs were for that particular offense with the run and shoot with Warren Gunn and Calvin Duncan and Hayward Jeffries and all them dudes. You know what I mean? They were a good team,
But
entertaining. But again, you can't sustain that. You're
but
not going
listen,
to win like that.
I think you can win by running the ball.
Yeah, but I'm saying
And
you're not going to win like
the
that.
Philadelphia Eagles proved that. The Eagles proved that you can win by running the ball. They proved that last year. They were
Oh
a
no,
running football team.
I'm not arguing that at all, brother.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying in a passing offense that you really rely on the pass. You know what I mean? You're not going to. It's not. You can't sustain that. You have to have a mix. And like
Oh yeah, definitely.
Philly definitely had it down. You know, especially last year versus no year before last when Jalen was a rookie. You know,
Hmm.
Jalen, you know, they did a lot of jet sweeping and boom, boom, boom. The next year, to his credit, and hats off to Jalen Hurts, man, he really worked on that passing game. He became a really efficient passer, which made the team more dangerous. And that punk that y'all traded or let go, Miles Sanders, who screwed me so bad in fantasy football, he just left $200 on the nightstand after he screwed me. But anyway,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh,
yeah,
hold up. Let me interject. Hold on,
go
bro.
ahead, man. Go ahead,
Now,
man.
in our league, you get $50 if you were like the top scorer. This, I don't even know if I think Mike got his money back last year. Every time I look up, it was Mike or this other cat, Tim, in the league that was getting $50. Man, I never been more
Listen,
frustrated in my life.
I was fifty
Y'all don't
dollars
know
short.
how frustrating it is when you don't get that top. If y'all and all my fantasy football players out there that got a weekly prize, y'all know that is the most frustrating feeling in the world to see people get that $50 every single week and to know
Yeah,
that you are nowhere
I,
near close to it, man. That stuff.
I
I mean,
think
that hurt my feeling.
I
I was
think
pissed.
if Face, I think Face won his entrance fee back. We had a $200
Oh
entrance
man, that
fee,
was annoying.
and I think I was $50 short. I think I won three times
You
last
won a
week,
lot.
so
I know that
last year.
much.
Yeah, I won three times. Face won four, and then you know, and T Ed grabbed one, and you know, a few people, you know, but Don didn't get any.
I didn't get it. I don't even think I did. I don't think I made the playoffs in that dumb league. You know, I, of which I am the commissioner. Man, it is annoying, dude. It's annoying. And then let me just say, Mike don't make it no better with his musical wrap ups because he not there to. The only respect I'll give Mike this, he will give me some respect because I am a past champion of the league. We
Oh,
have a
without
thing where if
question.
you're a
Yeah.
champion, if you ever won the title or the belt in that league, he gonna give you your respect. So we'll say that.
Well, it's kind of hard with Ray. You know,
Well,
it's
yeah,
kind of
Ray's. We
hard.
don't give him no respect because we
No,
call him. What you call him? iRobot.
iRobot, the auto
He
pick
decided.
champ.
Yeah, auto pick. You know, he's one
Yeah,
of these kind of
man.
cats. He every year we do the draft, he got a trip going on. Every year we got a draft. Why you got a trip every year we do draft? Don't matter what week it
You're
is.
right.
This Negro got a trip. He got a trip somewhere. Nah, bro, not this year.
Yeah, yeah. And he did a straight auto pick, and he won auto pick and 70 transactions in free
Yeah.
agency.
Last
It
year
was
though he
just
didn't.
crazy.
Right. Last year he didn't have the
No,
he picked
yeah,
live.
yeah.
He
No,
sucked.
he didn't make it. No, he didn't. It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
But
You know.
guess what? The guy that did win the league, he did all auto picks, and guess who won? He won. So
There you go. So it's a cold game again, man.
it's
It's
definitely a
like
cold game, a cheating
yeah. I
game,
mean,
what I call it.
I try to strategize, and you know what I mean. I really try to shop. I try to draft solid, and
Hmm.
then you know, and I'm guilty. I'm a free agent shopper. I'm a Walmart shopper, no question about it. But there's a little more strategy, of course, and Don can attest to that. And he even said, you know what, you know, Mike knows what he's doing. He picks up dudes that people don't think are gonna do nothing, and they kind of carry him into the playoffs. And you know, but yeah, last year was an
Listen,
absolute travesty. Travesty because I lost the Cincinnati, the Damar Hamlin game. That's how I wound up
oh, I remember that.
losing.
Yeah.
That's how I wound up
Hmm.
losing. I lost to Sean,
Yeah,
who
that
had
was
never
crazy.
beaten me in 3 or 4 years. I used to spank Sean's ass like he stole something.
Yeah, that was
Every year I
crazy,
would beat
man.
Sean. And I lost because I'm thinking, you know, we can just take the points to the next week.
Hmm.
And, you know, man, it was like, no, fantasy football rules state if there's a game stoppage, that's your ass.
Yeah,
And
listen,
that's
y'all.
what happened to
What
me.
nothing I could do. I'm the commissioner. I go on there. I said, let's wait and see what the league does. Next thing I know, They didn't give the win to Sean. I said, well, I guess that's it. There ain't nothing we can do.
Gave it to Sean and your brother-in-law or whatever hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
He
it
loved
was
that.
just it was disgusting. It was
Huge
absolutely
program.
disgusting. It's a
And
forgettable year.
the best move that Joker made all year was the move I gave him to pick up Geno Smith, which if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have gave him not one bit of advice.
No, you don't
But
help nobody, bro. Don't help nobody in that
it's
game.
cutthroat. That's where it's got to be. But moving on to my Eagles, my expectations for the Philadelphia Eagles this year is nothing less than the Super Bowl. We got to get back to the Super Bowl, and we got to win it this year. We should, like Mike said, we should have won it last year. And
No question.
reason that we didn't win last year because of that bum Jonathan Gannon, who now coaches the Arizona Cardinals. That bum Jonathan Gannon was our defensive coordinator last year. And what this bum did basically was, while preparing for the Super Bowl, this bum was interviewing for the Cardinals. And this bum didn't prepare himself properly, I think, or prepare his team properly, defensive squad, for the game against the Chiefs. If y'all remember, those two silly goal line touchdowns that the Chiefs had, one to Sky Moore, where he basically ran one way and then back the other way, and then the other one I think was to what's the boy that plays for the Kadarius Toney?
Yeah.
They both ran it was the same play, just opposite sides of the field.
It was just the same play on the other side of the field. If you're playing Madden, if you're playing Madden, you just hit the switch button. It is the same play to the other side. It was disgusting that you didn't pick up on that as someone who makes, I don't know, $700,000 a year as a defensive coordinator. You can't pick up on that, dude. It's the same formation on the other side.
Absolutely.
It was sickening. And that's where Philly lost the game. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they went toe to toe with Kansas City. No question about it.
Jalen Hurts, that's one thing I love about that kid is that, and I will say initially, Mike will tell you that I wasn't a big Jalen Hurts fan. We have a text group also that we're in. And when he was drafted, I might have had some unkind things to say about Jalen Hurts. Luckily, don't remember, and the people that do remember aren't here. But I might have said some things about Jalen Hurts that I was 100% wrong about. Because one thing I would say about Jalen Hurts, he don't have Josh Allen's arm, and he might not even have his mobility, really. But one thing that I do believe Hurts does have that, is his leadership skill, because he can get guys to follow you. And that's something that's not, you can't coach that. That's just something that's innate. You either have that or you don't. So that's what makes me feel good about the Eagles this year. I think that, with him at top and leading, I think we'll be okay. I think our defense is really going to be good this year, even though we did lose some defensive guys. We still got our defensive secondary corners back and got a couple guys in, I think, at safety. Sidney Brown from Illinois looked like he might be pretty good. Kid Blankenship should be pretty good back there. So we'll see. I like our defensive line. Our defensive line looks like it's going to be good again.
What about the kid y'all drafted, man? What's his story?
Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, both from the University of Georgia. So I feel like we're going to be good down that way. Linebacker. So
what's that kid's story legally? Do you know anything? Any updates?
Jalen Carter? Oh, yeah, they already settled the case. I mean, he's facing civil trials now. Of course, you know that the families of the survivors are going to sue. We knew that was going to happen.
They're going to get the bag, and it's going to go away.
Suing him and the University of Georgia. So hopefully they can settle in court and keep it pushing, Because the thing about that case is, not to get in the weeds with it, but the thing I feel like is, first and foremost, he didn't force those other people to get in the car and race. I mean, everybody kind of decides what they were going to do. That's what kids do, and all of us, at one point or another, we done had a race with somebody out here on the road or on the highway. I mean,
youthful stupidity, man. No question about it.
Young and dumb, that's all it was. They celebrating the Georgia win, and that was it. So, but yeah, so I expect the Eagles to get back to the Super Bowl. I think that the Chiefs could get there from the AFC. I think that the Bills absolutely can get back. I know Mike is down on them, but I think if I'd like to see Buffalo get a running back. I'm gonna say that every time until they do. So I hope they do actually go get Cook. I know that they were saying that Cook was looking at Belichick, however you want to call it. So I'd like to see the Bills get him. I would like to see the Bills get them, because I just want to see what they would look like with a good running back. I'm just curious. I think
but you got to commit, Don. But you got to commit. You can get the best running back in the world, man. If you don't incorporate them into your offense, dude, it means nothing. See, and that's what my concern is. I mean, because when you give a quarterback $265 million, you dig what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You really want him to get up there and tap dance. You understand what I'm saying? But it's failed us every time because there's not a safety valve, and the safety valve is a solid running game. Even if you're a passing offense, man, if you got a stud back there that you go, yo, they're on to us passing. Let's shove this dude down their throat. If he's eating, the passing game opens up again. The Bills have not done that. And like I said, I'm going to say this. I think Devin Singletary is going to knock that young running back out the starting position in Houston. I'm telling you.
Damian
I'm telling
Pierce.
you. Damian Pierce. Damian Pierce is going to be a third down back once Devin Singletary plants his feet. I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you.
Well,
So
that's your side, I think.
yeah, that's I don't know. What is that?
An
Yeah,
alarm.
my wife's alarm for something. But anyway,
Before
yeah.
you Mike said something that it just made me think. It's like
Go ahead.
when you think about, how did you just say it? I'm about to go blank. But you're basically saying how they want to give the quarterback the ball and this and that. And that's
Yes.
true. I mean, because they want them to win it because they get paying them all the money. But
Mm-hmm.
man, think about the 90s, you know what I mean? And how Dallas was able to win 3 Super Bowls, with that great mix of running and passing. As much as I don't like Dallas.
Dude, it's essential. Don, it's essential. When you look down the list, if you're talking about, like you said, let's say not even the 2010s or nothing. Let's just go 2000s back.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? There was always a feature running back. Now, and you're talking about the 80s and 90s, and we grew up, the epitome or the opposite of what happened was Dan Marino's Miami Dolphins. When Don
Didn't win
Shula,
nothing.
when Don Shula decided that he was just going to hand over the reins, and this talking about an old school coach, you
Mhm.
handed over the reins to Dan Marino, and you never won anything.
Nothing.
You never won anything. And the Bills should have won out of them 4 Super Bowls with Thurman Thomas, a Hall of Fame running back. You just let Jim Kelly to keep throwing that ball. And like I said, the Giants Super Bowl, they didn't give Thurman the ball until the last 5 minutes of the game, and he was eating out there.
Yeah.
It's listen, man.
And the
Whole
Giants
nut.
won with OJ Anderson.
OJ, there you go. A 34-year-old running back whose best years were left in St. Louis when he was OJ Anderson, and they beat the Bills into submission. So yeah, man, there you go.
With those 10-inch thick forearm pads he was wearing in the game. I'll never forget that. This is crazy.
Football is football, Don.
Yeah, it is,
You
buddy.
can't reinvent the wheel, man. It's
Sure
all
can.
about your line versus their line. End the story. Passing, listen, like my coach used to say, with passing, only 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are bad.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You run the ball. I mean, I look at running with another quote that they like to say, "You'll never go broke getting a profit." Just think about it.
That's right.
If you
That's
get a
right.
yard, 2 to 3 yards every time. Why would you not?
Right.
Why would you not run the ball? This, to me, it doesn't make any sense. It's
Yeah.
I feel like these coaches, man, they're like kids, man, like kids playing Madden or something.
They
They get so
overthink it, dude.
excited about what they can do. It's like, dude, just run the damn going ball. Andy Reid would
Run
drive us
right.
crazy in Philly with that.
Yeah. And Andy Reid had very good running backs during his time
Oh, absolutely.
in Philadelphia. Brian Westbrook and
Yep.
dude,
Deuce
he
Staley.
had come on, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
man.
running back. No,
But they
Shady
cater.
McCoy, your boy,
Shady.
Shady.
Can't stand that dude, man. But
Why?
anyway. See,
He's a
that's the
character.
thing. Well, the thing about Buffalo is it's a very tight knit community. So of course, when the Bills are about town, you dig what I'm saying? You see them
Mhm.
all the time. You run into them. And at the time Shady was here, I mean, I'm basically old enough to be his father. So
Mhm.
I'm no fan, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not impressed with that. I'm already, almost 50 years old. So good for you, bro. Just, do well while you're here, young blood. And he kind of looked at me like he was crazy. I'm like, dude, come on, bro. I don't, but I understand where they're coming from. I get it.
Mhm.
They hear from fans all the time. But I'm no fanboy. I'm old enough to be your dad, dude.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So I didn't care for him. The 90s Bills, different ball game. Most of them dudes were my age when we out there partying. So, we crossed paths quite a bit. And once you got to know them dudes, they were cool. But like I said, the big 3, with Andre Reed, Hall
Mhm.
of Fame wide receiver, Bruce Smith, Hall of Fame defensive end, Thurman Thomas, Hall of Fame running back. They all got cool toward the end of their career. They became more human. You know what I mean? You could see them, and their prowess was fading, so they became more tolerable. Thurman lives back here now. He lives in Buffalo, Thurman
Mhm.
Thomas, in the Buffalo area. Jim Kelly lives in the Buffalo area. A lot of Bills stay here, because of the blind devotion and idiotic love that these fans have for them 4-time Super Bowl losers. But I digress. Go ahead, man.
No, I think that's it. We got a long season ahead of us. I think that as we progress forward, there's a lot of things that we'll be able to bring to the table. 'Cause both of us are big football fans. Both of us, you see us with our team hats on, and both of us are fantasy football players. So we'll give you all maybe we'll give you all some fantasy tips as the season goes along. We'll tell you. We'll put a list together of who to take and who not to take.
Stardom sit 'em. We'll do our own
Yeah.
stardom sit 'em.
There you go. That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about.
We'll
Stardom
do our
sit 'em
own
every
stardom
week.
sit 'em.
We will do a stardom sit 'em. So I'm looking forward to it. And we'll also give you a lock of the week for our gamblers out there.
Hey, here's a secret, y'all. Listen to me. Don't listen to Don when it comes to stardom sit 'em.
Hey, listen. Here's another thing. Just remember the advice that you get here. The advice is only worth what you pay for it. So just remember that.
That's
Now,
right.
if me and Mike somewhere down the line, we set up a Patreon where you got to pay, then you can hold that against us. But
Absolutely.
then, it's worth what you pay for it.
I'll gladly take that bullet for a few dollars.
Absolutely. Well, my brother, I think that it's about that time. Good seeing you.
You as well, man. I'm
glad to be
glad you
back.
enjoyed your vacation with your beautiful wife, man, and got to see your uncle and things like that. I think it's
Yes,
awesome,
sir.
man. So life is short, man. Live it up. Live it up, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what to do.
All right. This is Mike, and I'm talking for my man Don. And this is the Underway Podcast. Love you. Can't get enough of you. See ya on the other side.
Out of the tree of life, I just picked me a plum.
Yeah.
You came along and